Okay, so a little bit on American Sign Language, or ASL. So here's a little bit about the American Deaf culture. So what is sign language? Sign language is a language capable of expressing abstract ideas and a language utilizing space and movement to convey meaning. So basically, it's not just using picture like, because I mean, A, B, C, it's not necessarily pictures. Doing signs, not necessarily pictures. It's just signing. So, do not use it in English grammar, which is really hard for me, especially, but don't do that. You have to do it outside of English grammar, which I will definitely demonstrate to you in some prior videos here. But okay. So, historically, American Sign Language is related to French Sign Language. Mini story behind that. A French person, you can look this up too. But a French person definitely started establishing deaf schools because he wanted to learn how the deaf community communicated to each other. And so what he did is with some children in low poverty, like low communities that couldn't go to school, didn't know, so they were like kind of in that poverty state, down in Italy actually. And he went over there where he was like born, just about like 30 miles north or whatever. And he was looking at what they were doing and taking the little bit of knowledge that they knew from sign language, combined it all together, and then created sign language. And he actually established the first schools in England and France and Europe, and then transferred over here. He came to the States and was teaching us over here. So yeah, it's pretty awesome actually. Okay, so American Sign Language is used by most deaf people in Canada and the United States, hence toward the word American Sign Language. So yeah. So about 90% of deaf people actually marry other deaf people. It's a lot easier to communicate, all that good stuff. So American Sign Language is traditionally handed down from generation to generation through deaf family members and residential schools for the deaf. Obviously, you're gonna learn through your family about sign language. So, problem about that though is if you're, let's say you have deaf parents, they're not as knowledgeable on it. When they're passed down, you're not going to be either. So yeah. Role of facial expressions, head movements, and eye gaze in American Sign Language is grammatical. Your expressions, your movements, all of that is actually your grammar. You're just signing stuff here, but your face, that is your grammar. That is your English right here. When you're watching other people sign, you want to look at their face. You don't want to look at their hands, because if you're just staring at their hands like this, like kind of thing, they're thinking it's really rude because you're not looking at their facial expressions and you're trying to like communicate back. So look at their facial expressions. So like, hi, kind of thing. Look at their facial expressions. That tells you basically everything. So among ASL signers, fingerspelling is mainly used in what ways? So it is mainly used to specify brand names and to give names to people and places. Like most people go, hi, my name is Taryn. See? This is fingerspelling. Your A, B, C, D. That's fingerspelling. So you're going to give names, like when you use fingerspelling, once you're like really fluent in it, it's only going to be to names of people, unless you have like sign names like I do, name signs. Places, because most places you're not going to have like an actual sign for it. And brand names, definitely, like Vans. So yeah. So American Sign Language makes use of the space in a front of a signer's body to convey distance, contrast to people, places, things, or ideas, and to express time concepts. Like, meaning like distance-wise, you want to do it always here, sign like here or here, where the person can see. You don't want to sign like way out here. You don't want to sign like way down here, because then they're like just staring down there, like you're not seeing the facial. Close to your face, palm postulator. There you go. If you're trying to get attention to deaf people, basically tap them on the shoulder. That'll get their attention. Don't yell at them. They're not going to be able to hear you most of the time. So, or you can just go like this. If they're like kind of looked away, go like this. They'll kind of notice, oh hey, they want to talk to you. Start talking. Okay. So deaf people consider rude if you're watching a signed conversation. That can actually be argumentative. I actually watch people and they actually invite me to join in the conversations, even though I'm a beginner ASL student. So, but that can be considered rude, kind of depending on what the situation is. Like, don't just sit there and just stare like, oh my god, they're signing, kind of thing. No, you can like glance over maybe a few times, but don't just like stare at them. They really hate that. So that's considered rude. And talking, meaning using your voice, because that one's also argumentative too. Most of the time they don't like it because they can't hear you. So it's like, well, why are you talking to me, kind of thing. Get it? People do not like to be called, deaf people do not like to be called like hard of hearing, deaf mutes, none of that crap. No. They like to be called deaf people. That's what they stand for. I mean, sometimes they will refer to themselves as hard of hearing, but no, it's deaf. I'm deaf, kind of thing. So, yeah. Well, that's your background. Bye.